For tonight's true scary story, it is going to be a compilation of 3 terrifying stories. So sit back, relax, and get ready for a spooky night. Before we get started, just to remind you, you can email me your spooky stories at kaisespooky@gmail.com. It is in my description. And also, if you like my content, if you could smash that like button, I would really appreciate it, but only if you appreciate my work. Thank you so much. For tonight's first submitter, we are going to call her Stacy because she did not tell me whether I could use her real name or not. Stacy grew up in a small town in Colorado, and when she was 9 years old, her father passed away. She always had a fascination with talking to him, and being so young, she thought he was going to come back. She was unfortunately the one who found him, so this was very traumatizing for her. And due to this, her mom had actually developed a mental illness. She would either work or sleep at all times. So she was often left with her siblings, who were much older than she was, and she was often left home alone a lot. So it was to Stacy's surprise when the older woman who lived across the street told her that she was selling her home to a family that had a young boy that was Stacy's age. She was so excited. She finally met the family and they were wonderful. It was a woman named Cindy, her husband, and her 2 sons, Kevin and Jack. She would often go to their house when she was left alone, and her and Kevin became best of friends. They did flirt a lot. They had a flirtatious childhood relationship. They would crush on each other one day and beat up on each other the next. They were childhood sweethearts. Stacy introduced her mom to Cindy, and they became best friends, and Cindy helped her out of her dark times. She helped her with her mental illness, and they became like family. They spent holidays together, and they would always go over to their house. When Kevin and Stacy were 17 years old, they were having a sleepover together. They were bored. They had nothing to do. So they came up with the idea to play with a Ouija board, because Kevin had never played with one before. So they made one. They got some cardboard and drew everything and got a little bottle cap. They were good to go, right? Wrong. They should have never made one. As they were playing, they were asking a lot of questions, and the planchette, or the bottle cap, was moving. They thought each other was doing it, and they didn't really think anything of it. They finally decided to ask who they were talking to, and the board started to spell out L. They thought it was someone that they knew, so they let it continue. UCIFER. They both looked up from the board into each other's eyes in sheer terror, and then got up and ran straight out of that room without saying goodbye. The next morning, Stacy's mom found out what they had done. She ripped up the board and they thought nothing of it. Here's what's crazy. A few years later, Kyle started a business and unfortunately died in a freak accident. A year to the day later, his mother died of cancer very young, and Stacy has been diagnosed with 3 very rare diseases. She doesn't feel like this is a coincidence because every time she went to their house after they had played that game, she felt something dark. And the night Cindy died, Stacy did not know. She was laying in bed, she had her eyes closed, and she audibly heard Cindy say, "Thank you." So Stacy now knows there's a whole realm that we can't see. She knows it was her. She is crushed that Kevin died. They grew up so close. It breaks her heart not having him here. Story number 2. Also from Stacy. This one has a trigger warning for domestic violence, so please be conscientious of that. Stacy worked in a memory care about 5 years ago, and there was only 2 of them on the night shift. They had an agency CNA come in and work with Stacy, and it was their first time working together that night. It was also their first time meeting. This girl was young, 17 years old, and they began talking for a while. While they were talking, the young girl says that she needed to go to her car real quick. When she comes back, she starts telling her about her boyfriend. They had been arguing over text message. She told Stacy that he was waiting in the car until she got out of work, which was an 8-hour shift. Alarm bells were going off, and she was thinking to herself how weird it was, and she was going to go outside and tell him to leave. But a small voice told her not to, and she listened. Their shift goes on, and they continue to talk, and she was telling her about how her mom doesn't want her to hang out with him anymore. This was due to a situation that had happened. Backstory, they had gotten into an argument in her basement. During the argument, the boyfriend goes upstairs and grabs a knife. The stepdad catches him and asks him, "What are you going to do with that knife?" His response was that he was going to harm himself. As Stacy listened to the story, she got a pit in her stomach, and she looked at the young girl and said, "He wasn't going to harm himself. He was going to harm you. You need to get away from him." At the very end of their shift, they had a long talk, and Stacy told the young girl she was too young to be going through all of this, and that there were too many other nice people out there for her to be stuck in a situation with this type of person. She then reiterated the words, "The next time I see you, I don't want to see you on the news dead." The young girl goes to leave, but before she leaves, she looks at Stacy and tells her that her mom would be coming in for the agency because she also worked for the agency to work the night shift. The young girl went on her way, her mom came in, and Stacy told her mom that she was still hanging out with this guy. Since the mom had forbid her from seeing him and she could see why, she thought as a mother herself she would have liked to have known if her daughter was still hanging out with this type of person. So that's why she told her. The mom was incredibly thankful, gave her a hug, and Stacy went on her way. Stacy started working at this agency herself, and she actually later ran into the young girl's stepsister, who also worked for the agency. She got really excited to see her stepsister and asked how the young girl was doing since she had referred her to this job. With a straight face, the stepsister looked at her and said she was shot and killed by her boyfriend about a week and a half after she had last seen her. She was sick over this, and the messed up part about this, she was all over the news, and that was the last thing that she had said to her, was, "I don't want to see you dead on the news the next time I see you." This messed up Stacy so badly that she had to go to therapy afterwards. The one thing she was glad for, though, is that she had listened to her instinct and not gone out to that car, because he could have harmed her too. Story number 3. This one is creepy, you guys. This submitter wanted to stay anonymous, so we are going to call her Chelsea. When Stacy was 9, she had one of those big realistic dolls. Now this doll always gave her the creeps, but she begged for this doll. One day they went on a road trip, but before she left, she put the doll in the corner of her room. However, when they got back from vacation, the doll was in a different position. She thought nothing of this at the time though, because her sisters had stayed behind. A few days later, she's sleeping, and she wakes up in the middle of the night to the doll face to face with her. At the time, again, she thinks nothing of it. She thinks maybe her mom came into the room and put the doll in front of her face for some reason. But then she asks her mom, and her mom tells her no, she didn't do this. A few days after this, though, is when things started to get a little darker. She's sitting in her room playing with a coloring book, drawing in it, and the lights just go out. She calls for her mother, but she remembers that her mother is at work. So she gets up and she looks around for her doll. When she finally finds her, she's underneath her bed. So she grabs the doll and she walks her downstairs and she puts her into a toy closet. She walks back upstairs and she goes and sits on the couch and starts watching TV. A few hours later, though, her little brother starts screaming and is running up the basement stairs, hysterical. She asks him what happened, and he said that the door to the closet opened by itself. So she runs downstairs with a baseball bat, probably thinking there's an intruder, but only to find her doll. The last straw is when she had her best friend over, who can actually see ghosts. They were sitting on the floor making bracelets. As they're making the bracelets, Chelsea's friend looks slowly up into the corner of the room where the doll is, and she whispers, "That doll is evil." Chelsea asks her why, and she says, "There's something dark near that doll." They just ran out of the room at that point. Since then, she's been locked in a shed, and every once in a while, that shed door will open by itself. Surprise, I'm giving you a bonus story. Story number 4. This person wanted to stay anonymous, so we're gonna call her Katie. This one also creeped me out. Katie was camping with her family, having a good week. This was in Washington, not far from Mount St. Helens. The last night they camped, she invited her cousin to come over and stay in her trailer for a sleepover. They were having fun. Everything was fine. They got tired and decided to go to bed. They were sleeping on the top bunk of the trailer, one of those that are above the driver and passenger seat. The bed had space for both of them to sleep on. They were sleeping parallel but opposite to each other. So her cousin's feet were facing Katie and Katie's feet were facing her cousin. She was on the edge. She was by the wall. She was sleeping when she woke up out of nowhere. It wasn't a noise that woke her up. She's not sure what time it was, definitely late at night, but she closed her eyes and decided to go back to bed. But then she had this urge to open her eyes back up and look around. It was dark, but she sat up. And as she sits up, she sees her cousin is sitting in front of her, but she's also sitting up, and she's just staring at her, smiling. This weird, creepy smile. Not like a movie scary smile, but it wasn't her smile. Something was off. And mind you, she had Katie's phone in her hand, which was previously down charging by the driver's seat. Now here's the weird thing. If her cousin would have wanted to get her phone, Katie would have been in her way. So she would have had to climb over Katie, waking Katie up, or either telling Katie to get up so that she could climb over her and grab Katie's phone. Katie had not woken up, and she also said that her cousin was way too lazy to be doing this in the middle of the night. So she has Katie's phone and she's almost taunting her with it, swinging it around in front of her face, like waving it, like as if, come and get it. So Katie says, Jess, what are you doing? Because she's genuinely confused as to why she is up, holding her phone, taunting her with it in the middle of the night. At this point, Katie's a little annoyed and also creeped out because her cousin is ignoring her, but she's creeped out because why is her cousin doing this? So Katie quickly tries to grab her phone, but her cousin pulls away, doesn't let her grab it. So Katie is like, are you kidding me? So she goes to grab her phone again, but when she goes to grab her phone again, it goes through Jess. Her hand goes through her cousin. So now Katie is scared and confused, and as she's realizing what is going on, Jess starts disappearing right in front of her. And mind you, the whole time that this was going on, her cousin Jess is moving in this weird slow motion way. Like it was just eerie. It wasn't in a way that her cousin would move. And her face was kind of distorting in a way. So she starts panicking and she's like, Jess, are you okay? And here's what made her heart drop. As she sees her cousin disappearing, she hears Jess, her cousin, say, what are you doing? Go back to bed. You woke me up. Katie then turns to her side and her cousin is right there. She didn't realize it earlier because it was too dark. She tried to wake her up because she was confused and terrified at the same time, but Jess was annoyed and just went back to sleep. So Katie does so. She lays down and she's laying there just trying to process what just happened. She can't fall asleep though because she's too scared, but somehow she does end up eventually falling asleep. The next morning when she woke up, she told her cousin, but her cousin didn't know what to think of it. All her cousin remembered was her waking up and calling her name when she was saying, Jess, are you okay? That's all she remembered. Now to this day, Katie has no idea what that was, but one thing she does know for a fact is that she was not dreaming, because number one, she had been dreaming previously before she woke up, and number two, she was awake and calling her cousin's name, and her cousin heard her, and she laid back down and went back to sleep. The whole thing was very real, and it happened. She said she's a Christian, and she knows that there's a spiritual world, but she doesn't know if this was demonic. Was it a mimic? What was it? She's hoping that someone in the comments can maybe tell us what's going on here. So what do you guys think of these stories? Number one, the first story that I told. Do you think that the Ouija board caused those deaths? Do you think it was coincidental? What do you think happened there? And with the second story, do you think her instinct was kind of telling her that that girl was going to pass away? I mean, she described exactly what would happen if she didn't stop seeing that person, and it happened. I think that's a story of intuition, and unfortunately, that intuition came true, and that is horrible. What happened to that young girl is devastating, and I feel so awful for her family, and I also feel so awful for Stacy that she had to live through that experience. And the story with the doll, I'm sorry, but if I would have woken up face to face with my life-size doll, which by the way looks like this is what a life-size doll looks like, I would be terrified. Do you think something was inhabiting that doll? I can't say that word. I've tried 5 freaking times. Inhabiting that doll. That reminded me of Annabelle. It just didn't escalate to the point that Annabelle did, but still super creepy. Definitely trying to freak the kids out. And she even mentioned it in the beginning of the story that everyone in the family was creeped out by that doll. Imagine getting a doll that you wanted so badly just to have it do these weird things as soon as you get it. I don't like dolls. I'm not a doll person. They freak me out. So tell me what you guys think about that story. Drop it in the comments. And then the fourth story, that one creeped me out. That one really creeped me out. I mean, to see someone standing there that looks exactly like your cousin, just like waving something, your phone in front of your face, and just in slow motion, smiling, and your face is distorting. Oh, I can't even imagine that. I can't even imagine how creeped out she was. I don't know how she fell asleep after that. She's better than me because I would not have been able to fall asleep after that. But she definitely wants to know what you guys think of that. So definitely drop your thoughts and opinions in the comments about that one. But with that being said, I do have to ask you guys, do you guys like these compilation stories, or would you rather me tell you just like one long story? The only reason I haven't told you one long story, or I have been, but why I've been doing these compilation videos is because number one, I've been getting a lot of really short stories, so I figured I need to use them somehow. And number two, no one is sending me long enough stories. And sometimes I'll get stories where people are like, I tried to shorten this as much as possible for you. Don't ever do that. Never, ever, ever shorten a story. I like crazy long stories. If you have a 20-page story to tell me, I would love that. Love it. So the longer, the better. Tell me your life story. If you have a life of paranormal activity, I want to know your life story. I will put it on YouTube like that. Before we get into the shoutouts, I want to address two things. Samantha Mercer, can you please send me your story? Whenever you get a chance, send me your story because I'm very much looking forward to that. The second one is, and I can't find your name, but we talk a lot and I can't remember what your name is specifically, but I know who you are. You keep asking me to cover Father Gabriel, but every time I try to cover him or find him, I can't find him. The only Father Gabriel that comes up is like from some movie. I can't find like the real person that is Father Gabriel. So please send me a link to maybe a video about him or something that I can at least get a reference for so that I can start studying him, because I'm very interested in that as well. So let's do the shout outs now. My first shout out is going to Samantha Mercer, G8X's daughter. You just started watching my YouTube videos just recently. Your mom told me about it and I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you. I love that a mother and daughter are both watching my YouTube series. I love that so much. Thank you so much for watching my YouTube videos. You are the best. Thank you for supporting me. It just means everything to me, and I hope you're having an amazing night, and I am giving you the biggest shout out right now and a virtual hug. So thank you. I love you. My second shout out is going to Jamin's wife. I don't know your name, but I know that you two watch my videos all the time, and I just wanted to express my gratitude for you guys watching my videos all the time, and for Jamin always commenting, and he said that you guys both watch together, and that means everything to me. Thank you so much. You guys have been so supportive to me through email, through messages, through my shorts, through my videos, and I just truly wanted to express how grateful I am to have you two as my subscribers. Like, it means the whole entire world to me. So thank you so much, and I love you. And with that being said, my name is Kaisa, and I tell true scary stories on here every other night that you guys either submit to me or recommend to me. So if you're into that, hit that subscribe button so that you can get notified next time I tell a true scary story. And also, I just need you to do 3 things for me. And what are those? I need you to keep sending me your scary stories and recommendations. I need you to have a safe night. And what's the third one? Say it with me. Have a spooky night. Love you guys so much. See you in the next one. Spooky kisses and haunted hugs.